Nothing too much. Nothing too much. I'm so excited to talk to you.
I love it. I like your wall.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I got the shirt on as well.
That's awesome. I love that too. I-
I used to. I'm a senior now in high school, and then starting in like seventh, eighth grade, I used to be in your live streams every single day, and now it's just so cool. Now I'm finally talking to you.
Really? Yeah, that's cool. I love talking to people that have been around for a while because it always hasn't been this crazy. So,
It has not. It has not.
so
Uh,
what's going on? I what can I answer for you?
all right. Yeah, I got some questions for you. First off, I guess, what's been the biggest influence on the sports card market in the past 12 months you think that has led to its success?
That's a good question. I think there's a couple things that I look at. I think Gary Vee's had quite a big impact on it. I think Gary Vee's brought a lot of bigger attention to it. So people with like real money, real backing coming into the hobby, buying things that are long term alternative investments. I think um, I think some of these $1 million sales have played a pretty big factor in it. With um, that leads to MSNBC and like these big money companies seeing that and posting about that, and then the average American being like, "Well, I used to collect sports cards," and then finding their sports cards and leading to that. And then I think COVID played a pretty big factor in
Mhm.
where the card market is at today. I think everybody was at home with really nowhere to go, nothing to do for 2 months. And, you're picking up old hobbies and you're like, hey, I found my sports cards.
Yeah.
You get online and then you see this massive market. You see what these cards sell for, and you're like, holy cow, this is real money, right? And I think that's
Mhm.
that draws a lot of people in, is how much money there really is in this hobby. Um, and how you could buy a $20 box and hit a $5,000 card out
Mhm.
of a blaster box, or a $500,000 card out of a hobby box. Those are like that's a life-changing money to a lot of people. So I think that's drawn it in. So those would be the three things that I really think have contributed to the current market success.
Okay. Yeah, no, those are some good points. I haven't thought of some of them before. And when did you start buying and selling cards? And then what did your family think of that?
Yeah, so I got into cards. Like my origin story in cards is like in the late '90s. I was 5 6 years old, and Pokemon was really big. And I would take my Pokemon cards to school, and they would get like we would trade at like lunch, and like nothing serious, but like kids started to steal cards from people, so they got banned. Like you weren't allowed to take them. Um, so I had a kid. I was probably my best friend growing up through like fifth or sixth grade.
Oh,
His grandparents always bought him cards. So like I remember going over there and ripping like 2001 Rookies and Stars, which had Drew Brees in it.
mhm.
Um, and I remember like falling in love with like football cards because I wanted to, like, they were tangible. You could trade them. I
Yeah.
always wanted better cards. Like it was, to me, it was like just like I said, being tangible, trading, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So I fell in love with it then. And I did it. Like, I mean, I was opening packs. Like, I remember in 2003, I would have been the summer of '03, I'd have been 10. And a guy that went to my high school won a national championship at Ohio State. Donnie Nicky, he went pro and had cards in 2003 CHF football. And I remember being in a parking lot in a mall and opening those packs. And then it got like my seriousness with cards started in like 2006, because I had been on and off, like I said, just ripping packs, nothing serious. I was young. And then 2006, I was about 13, and that's when I like got a phone, and like that's when I found the internet.
Mhm.
And I remember like 2006 was Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Vince Young, AJ Hawk, Mario Williams. Like, it was a big class. It was really anticipated. And I remember going to the local card store and ripping like Press Pass football
Mhm.
and Tops football, like, because those are cheaper packs.
Yeah.
And I like I said, I got on the internet and found online forums and found a lot of those things that ended up leading me to Instagram. So I've been like really buying and selling and trading since about 2006.
Mhm.
And like I said, that was right around the time I found the internet.
Okay. What did your family think?
Yeah, so my like it wasn't really a negative thought. It was just more of like a yeah, cool, what like whatever. They never like I didn't get my mom would buy me like to the 2.99 like the just like the individual packs from like Walmart or Target.
Yeah.
Like I would get probably five of those every year in like my stocking. And then like if I really asked for cards, I might get like a blaster box for like 20 bucks.
Mhm.
Um, but I never like my parents never bought me a hobby box. Like they just it wasn't something they wanted to spend money on. And I mean, I just assumed they thought the shoes I was asking for, or the clothes, or the jersey, or the Xbox. Like I think those things were made more sense to them, I guess.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like a hey, this is stupid, don't do this. It was just a they didn't give me a lot of money for it. So anything in my cards, like I just had to get on my own. It wasn't something they like financially supported.
Mhm. Okay. Did you ever buy a big card and they were scared or like, don't do that? Did you ever do that when you were younger?
Not really, and it wasn't any like it was just because they didn't know, right? So I wasn't buying big cards when I was younger, right? Like anything I had when I was younger, I like it was from me buying, working at jobs. It was me doing everything to get the money. So like my collection hasn't been what it is now for, a long time. Like,
Mm.
5 years ago, I was at the National and, I was buying like I posted a pickup picture and it was like 125 bucks worth of stuff. So like my collection now is an accumulation of 16 years or 15 years or whatever it may be of buying and selling and trading every day. Like my parents, they know some of the deals we buy now, right?
Yeah.
I've done some super cool deals, uh, but for a job, like when I was in high school buying deals, they were $40 deals, right? They weren't the deals we're buying. We've had the ability to buy today. So not really. It more is something I think my wife's been a little bit more like, how much are you spending on one card? Like I flew to Philadelphia earlier this year and bought the Mahomes National Treasure, and that's a 5-figure card,
Mm.
right? So like I bought that, and that was like one card. Like, are you serious? Are you sure you can do like that? Was because you just don't know, right? It's the same concept with my parents as my wife. If you don't know, like that's a lot of money,
Yeah.
and so to spend that on a piece of cardboard with a signature, it's got 4 corners, 4 edges, a front and a back. Like that's a lot for that.
Yeah.
I think she's kind of been the one that's here or there has been kind of scared, are you sure? But lately, it's those are conversations we don't have a whole lot. I think she's completely bought in at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I remember in June I bought. I think I told you this in my letter to you. I bought a rookie Giannis Prism PSA 10 for $2,000, and my mom was like, "No, you're not doing that. That was more than my first car." I said, "Mom, I'm just letting you know I'm doing it. I'm not asking you. I'm just letting you know I'm doing it." And then I
Yeah,
bought it, and then I recently sold it, and she was mad that I ended up selling it. It's because she was like, "It's what more?" I was like, "You didn't even want me to buy it, all right?"
that's pretty good though. I wasn't buying cards like that until I was probably 21 or 22. So that's pretty good.
Thank you. And then when did you make your first big flip, and do you remember what card it was?
Yeah, my like the flip that really let me knew like it told me I could do it for sure
Mhm.
was Eric Carr Bowman Chrome Superfractor. Um, it got listed. I was really, really, really big on Carr. I mean, I still think he's good, but I was buying Carr. Like this is when I was like, because in 2013, like that's probably one of my flips. This is what started me on this path.
Mm.
I bought every Le'Veon Bell and Giovanni Bernard auto I could find, and they were $5 to $10. This is when stuff was cheap, way cheaper, and I was buying them for $5 or $10 a piece. And I probably had 75 of each guy, and then they were blowing up. I mean, Gio and Le'Veon Bell that year were huge. And I mean, I sold them and I probably made like at the time $1,500. And that was a lot to me in 2013. Like that was great. And then 14 came, and I was like, if you really believe in someone, you can really make some money on this.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought Derek Carr, and I had a good collection going. And then somebody on Facebook posted it for $1,300. It was the Bowman Chrome Superfractor rookie auto. It was a RCR, so like the Beckett Raw Card Review.
Yeah.
It was a 910, and it was like $1,300. And I was like, hey man, can you do any better on this? And everybody was interested in it. And he's like, I could do $1,250 and like a Patriots care package type deal, like just like I had a Julian Edelman auto and some other stuff. So I was like, okay, done. So I did it, got the card, and was like not planning on selling it. And then this was right around the time Vegas Dave started to like talk about Derek Carr, about like how they're going to move to Vegas. This wasn't actually in 14. This would have probably been in 15 or 16. I think it was 16. So this was like after I was really big on Carr. And this was right around the time they were moving to Vegas, and Vegas Dave started talking about him and was like, this guy's going to be good. They're going to go to Vegas. Vegas is the sports betting capital of the world. Like all this money there. He started pumping him up. And then Carr stuff started to bump up a little bit. It was gaining traction. That was the season, I think, right? That might've been the season I don't remember, but he was playing pretty well.
Yeah.
And
until he got hurt.
And I was like, you know what? I don't want to sell it. Let me just put it on eBay. Let me see what happens. I'm going to put it up for 10 grand. Right. I'm just going to put it up for 10 grand. You never know. If somebody buys it for 10 grand, I'm sweet. I'll sell it.
Yeah.
So I put it up, and I had 2 people reach out that had extreme interest and had some amazing things. And like, hey, would you sell this? And I was like, don't really want to, but I would trade if, the right offer came around. And the guy I traded to, had the Topps Chrome full size and the Topps Chrome mini complete autograph rainbows. He had all of them, every card, including the super for both. And the only card he needed on the Bowman Chrome was like the 1/10 and the 101. So we only needed 2 cards for that. And I had the 101. Wow. He's like, I've been a Raider season ticket holder for 25 years, big car guy. Like it's the nicest Derek Carr collection there was.
Yeah.
And he's like, he starts telling me about all this stuff he's got. And I traded it to this guy. We went back and forth with both, but I traded to this guy for like, it was like 36 cards, 29 of them were Derek Carr. And it's great stuff. So it's PSA 10 cracked dice. It's BGS 1010 pink Topps Chrome auto at 75. Wow. Topps Chrome variation auto 9510. Topps Chrome rookie auto 9510. Topps Chrome refractor auto 9510. Contenders auto 9510. Contenders variation auto 9510. Like there's a Amari Cooper BGS 10 sepia auto from Topps Chrome. There's for 2 Francisco Lindor patch autos. I mean, it's this whole deal. It's mostly Derek Carr, right? So I traded 1 car for all these cars plus a couple other cool things. So I still have the Lindor. I kept, like, there was a couple things I kept. Sold Amari Coopers and sold a couple Derek Carrs. And that, as I did this deal, this is when Carr stuff blew up. So Vegas Day was all over this. His stuff was blowing up. So again, I only had 1,300 in the super. I sold the Carr 10 ice alone for 3,900. So I sold the pink BGS 1010 for 1,700. I sold the variation 95 auto for 900. I took a bunch of them to the National and made a huge deal with a pretty big buyer who bought a bunch of them, and I bought some Aaron Rodgers Exquisite and Contenders in the deal. So I mean, I ended up making over 10 grand on 1 card and got a couple Rodgers autos. So that was really the deal. I'm like, hey, this is serious. I mean, $10,000, and I was probably 21, 22. I was like, that was my first, like, this is real money, and I can do real, if I, really try hard, I can do really well on this. And that was it for sure.
Wow. Yeah, that's great. That's a lot of money. I'm sure you're glad you sold that Derek Carr now. But
in the same breath, it works both ways. So I made a lot of money on Derek Carr, but I also had one of the nicest Patrick Mahomes collections in the world. Like I had 3 national treasures. I've told this a million times. I had 3 national treasures, 9, 5, 10 patch autos. I got $3 grand a piece for. They're $100,000 cards.
Oh.
I mean, I sold a Luka National Treasures rookie patch auto at a 20 from first off the line for 16.5. That's the biggest card I've ever pulled. And it sold recently this year. The same card sold for $218,000.
Wow.
So you miss out on, you do right on card, but you miss you miss on selling other guys too early. It just is the name of the game. But as long as you're, nobody's ever gone broke over making money. So, or taking profit.
Yeah, that's what I learned. If you can get profit, you take it and you move on. And what I learned is you just reinvest it right away. So then you don't, even if that card ends up going up, you're still like investing in someone else that could make that money back.
Yeah, that's always my advice, right? Is like someone's like, hey man, like Giannis is a great example. Like, hey, I bought this card for $2,000, it's worth $4,000. Do I sell?
Yeah.
And my thought process is, it's you're only making the money when you realize the sale, right? So when you sell the card, you've made the money. But like you said, excuse me.
That's right.
Like you said, the Giannis has the chance to appreciate more, right? Giannis comes out and does really, really well. That card can go up. So to me, I'm not one. I love the card market, and I feel very strongly about the potential of the card market. So for me to sell the card and not have something to do with the money seems naive, because I like to sit on $4,000 is cool, but something tells me that the Giannis has potential to go to 4,100, 4,200, 4,300. You're at least making something, even if it's small. You're gonna like that card has a chance to appreciate. $4,000 sitting in your PayPal account isn't appreciating. So that's always great advice, and I love that you mentioned that, because that's something I say all the time. Is it makes sense to sell if you have something else to do with the money. If you're just gonna sit on the money, I'd rather sit on the Giannis than sit on the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the biggest thing I've learned in doing this. And then also here, in what ways has the big influx of people affected your card shop?
Yeah, I mean, it's been wild, right? So I started the year with one part-time employee, and I currently have 6 full-time employees and 3 part-time employees. So, I mean, growth, right? I mean, the advantage we had was when cards blew up, we were already such a big player in the card market. So when you went and looked for cards, we were oftentimes near the top of a lot of lists because of where we were in the market at the time. So when the card market blows up and you're a big player in the market, like your attention's going to go there. So we were just fortunate enough for that. On there, got to do that with Tyler and Lou, and that's been great. And that's been great for branding. It's just a lot of good opportunities, but a lot of it's a lot about timing.
Yeah. Okay. And then with raised prices across everyone's cards right now, is there a good buy out there right now?
I think there's a ton of potential to buy in bulk and flip.
Okay.
I think that is the big key. So my whole thing is that, if you've got $10,000 to spend, $1,000 to spend, $5,000 to spend, $50,000 to spend, the concept is still the same. Buy a bulk lot that has different items, including $5 cards to $500 cards, and everything in between. And what my thought is pick out a couple cards to sell to make some of your money back, or half of your money back, or most of your money back. Take a couple of your lesser cards that are clean and have great, worthiness. Send those off to grading, and then maybe keep 1 or 2 cards. Because that's my thing is, if you can buy a lot for, like, let's say $1,000 and it's worth $1,250, you can sell 3 of the cards for $600. Sell those, get out of those, and take 2 cards, even if they're $25 a piece. Grade them. Get them back in 6 months, 9 months, whenever it may be, 3 months, however quickly you want them back. But get those back later. Sell a couple more cards, right? Keep getting towards your goal of breaking even on the lot. And ideally, that's how I built a lot of my, equity in cards, was buying a deal for $1,000, selling enough to get $1,000, and then doing enough with the rest. So either keeping a guy that's a rookie that I think is long-term potential, or grading cards, right? Because grading cards, you're going to spend $20, $28, $30, whatever it may be, on a card that's, let's say Zion is $200 raw, $220 raw. That's a $750 10. So you're going to give company $20 to $5, $30. See it in 4 months, and it's going to be worth $700. It's like, to me, or even if you do 5-day and that's $75, that just, those cards, like, that's real value you can add to cards. And especially if you've already paid for the entire lot, to send those off as grading, oftentimes when they come back, they're free. So you're getting a delayed savings account. So that to me is really, really big. Is, you can grab, buy 5 deals, $200 a piece, take 1 card out of every deal, break even on the deals, right? Sell all the deals, break even, make 5%, make, $10 a deal. Then you made $50 and you got to grade 5 cards for free that you're not going to have them back right away, but you don't need them back right away. They're free.
Yeah.
Then they're going to come later. And right, let's say 3 of them, 10. Or PS 10 of the card you're grading, you're probably saying at least $50. So you're going to get, and you get some 9s, you'll say $25. You're going to get an extra, what, $200 down the road later. So what's happening is you flip those cards in a month, you make $50. Then the next month you take that $250 and you turn that into $300, and you take $300, you turn that into $400, and then $400 into $450. And then over that 6 months, you've taken your $200 to $500 in 6 months. And then those graded cards come back and you're adding that $200 in. So you went from 200 to 500 plus 200 all in a 6-month period. So like those graded cards coming back later can be huge and they can be a nice boost. So then you get to 200, then you're at 700, or you're at 500 cash and some trade. And then there's just so much more you can do there when you have that, more cards and more money. And that to me is the secret to success, is just flipping things. And again, especially if you're younger, and you're doing this as a business, because if you collect Giannis or you collect Brett Favre, or you collect somebody you don't want to flip, that's different, right? But if you're doing this for a business, you have to keep emotion out of it, right? If your goal is to make money, these cards are just cardboard. If that is your only goal, right? You can't have emotional attachment to it, or then it just means you're a collector. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can do both. I mean, I have Buckeye cards all over my desk, right? Not everything I buy is for money. But I just know that there's some things I buy that are for a business and some things I buy that are for collecting. But when you're younger and you may not have as much money, that if your goal is to acquire more and build more of a collection and build more money, some of the things you have to buy early on are meant to be flipped. Because if you got it, let's say, mom and dad gave you $2,000 and like, here, go buy something. You go buy a card you don't want to move. You just don't have any ability to play the game, right? Like that is your $2,000 and you may be okay with that. But again, I always go back to, if the goal is to make money, buy things that don't, are great buys, right? Find the best purchases you can make, but make sure you're not physically, emotionally attached to them, because that's going to make it tougher for you to get rid of them. And that just kind of makes it trickier.
Yeah, I learned that when I was little, I used to buy packs and everything. And if I got a good card, I'd tell myself, I'd sell it on eBay. But then when the time came and I got an eBay, I was like, oh, I remember getting this when I was like 9. I can't sell it. And now with just buying cards on eBay with the intention of selling them, I'm so emotionally detached from it. It's like, yeah, I'll sell it. And I've even had times where I looked at my Giannis and I go, why would somebody pay $4,000 for this? Like,
yeah, I mean, $4,000 that's a lot of money. I mean, $48,000 a year before taxes. That's what the average American makes in a year. I mean, that's a lot of money. So, I think that's key to recognize. I mean, if you pay $2,000, you can get $4,000 for it. You can do a lot of good with $4,000. Making $2,000, there are a lot of people that don't make $2,000 flipping cards. That's a lot on one card. You take that 4,000, you turn it into 45 into 5 into 6. I mean, very quickly you start getting up and you have a much bigger collection you can do a lot more with. That allows you to not, like, next time you get to, you get $6,000, Giannis falls to $3,000, you buy one back. You can sit on that because you still have $3,000 to work with. It allows you to be a little bit more flexible, because that's oftentimes the biggest, one of the biggest things I see in cards a lot is, when you get to the point where you don't need to sell, you've won, right? That allows you to be patient and that allows you to be selective. And that's huge, because, if you want to sell a $5,000 deal and you need the $5,000, you need money, you've got to sell. If somebody offers you $4,000, you're like, and nobody else is interested, like you've got to take it. You need the money. But if you don't need the money and somebody offers you $4,000 for Giannis, you're like, nah, I'm good. I mean, it could be a $10,000 card. It allows you to be more patient and more selective with what you buy and what you sell. And that, I think, is the end goal. That allows you to to really sit back and appreciate things. Like, again, I bought a case of Prism basketball 2019, 2020. I'm really bullish on this class and on wax, like unopened boxes. And a buddy of mine was looking for some advice on January 15th of this year. Was like, I'm looking for something to buy. I got some money to spend. I need something that's going to go up. Like, give me a winner. And I said, Prism basketball. I said, it's $6,000 a case on blowout. You can't touch last year's for under $9,000. Lucas, you can't touch it for $9,000. Like, you can't touch it. Buy this for $6,000. And he's like, man, I don't know. Just got me I'm like, I'll buy it. I'll do it. So I went on blowout and I bought the case for $59.95, and it's in my closet. And blowout currently has them listed for $42,000. The last sale on eBay was like $31,000, and it's trust me, it's hard not to be like $6,000 to $30,000. That's $24,000. $24,000. That's a lot of money. I mean, that's half of what I made 3 years ago. I mean, that's great money.
Yes.
I think it's a $75,000 case at some point. I believe that this class is going to be iconic, and those cases will be in demand, right? Like, they're not making more Prism hobby cases. Zion's class is going to be big. I'll keep it. 2 years ago, that case went to $15,000. I'd have sold it, been gone. Now I have the luxury now of being like, hey, that money's gone. That money's out of sight. I don't need that money to continue to run my business. I can run it, with that case being gone, that case being out of sight. So that $6,000 is gone until I sell it, but I don't need that $6,000 to run my business. Again, when you get to the point where you don't rely on that money to do everything you need to do, you can be more patient, and that's how you can win.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. This past question, we touched on the last two that I have. And one would be with sealed wax and even like retail stuff nowadays. I must admit, I'm still in high school. I can do this. I've been camping at Myers and Target early in the morning,
Sure.
waiting for cards. And I haven't gotten, I broke down, I brought a Prism Blaster on eBay for $68 because I think that even if it goes to zero, like, this is just so iconic, and finding this, and because you couldn't, that I just still like to have it. But if it goes up a lot, then that's great too. But if you're able to find, like, even at retail, sealed wax at the stores, because I think this football class is a really good class with Herbert and Burrow. Do you hold, or do you immediately sell and take some profit?
So a lot of my answer comes down to what we just talked about, where it's, does the money you would get from selling it, does that keep you playing the game, right? So if your goal right now is just to flip and make more money, if that's your only goal, if you bought 10 blasters at $200, do you need that $200 to keep buying more product or more cards? Or can you afford to take the $200 or the $220 after tax, it be gone, and set those blasters in your closet? If you need the $200, my thought is always sell it. You're going to get 3 times your money. So you're going to take $220, turn it into $600, and then $600, you do the same thing again. You can't next week. You take $200, you turn it into $600. Then you made $800 in 2 weeks. That's a lot of money. You can do a lot with that kind of money. If you don't need the $200, I'm throwing it in the closet.
All right. Yeah. No, I don't.
I'm not doing it with every product, right? I'm not doing it with Absolute. I'm not doing it with Playoff. I'm not doing it with Rookies and Stars. I'm not doing it with Illusions. I'm only doing it with the best retail products there are. So at the moment, Mosaic and Prism. Those are the only things I'm holding, right? So, and what you also want to tell yourself, especially when you're younger, and this is something I struggled with, is when they get to a certain number, you have to sell. I mean, you don't have to. This is just my thought, is like, you buy them for 20. They're currently $70, 75 bucks. Tell yourself that when they get to whatever, you can pick the number. It can be, it's arbitrary. 100, 120, whatever they get to where you could cash them in and clear that much money, you sell them. So 120, let's say, that means you would have made $100 a blaster. So if they ever get to 120, you agree, hey, I'm going to sell these 5 blasters I got. And you can do it as you get 5. So buy 5 here in this deal for this price, buy 5 more here. And then when they get to a number, you're like, hey, I made this much money. This is the number I wanted to make. I'm going to sell them. And then you sell them. Again, you can keep some and sell some, but you've got to have some sort of an idea in your head. Like, to me, that Prism case, you offer me 75 grand cash, it's gone. That's my number.
Okay.
Right? It may never get to that.
Okay. Hey, sorry, I lost you for a second.
No, you're good.
And okay, yeah, yeah, I don't need the money right away or anything. I can afford the hold, and that's what I'll do. And then I'll come up with a number, and then when it hits that, or if it hits that, I'll just sell it. Okay. And then lastly, I know a lot of my friends have been asking me to tell you this too. How would people go about getting their cards graded through your group submission, and like how would you make payments and everything? Because we're just a little confused on that.
Yeah. So it's a lot of it's on our website. It's not meant to be complicated. It's super easy, right? So the thought is you go on our website, you click on grading, you read through the instructions. It gives you the address of where to ship, how to ship, and there's a form on the bottom.
Okay.
Click on the form, make sure to do a Google Sheet, you print off the form, or you write down the same information on a piece of paper, and you mail it with your cards. Cards come to us, we open the mail, we notify you and say, hey, we've got your cards. Mm-hmm. At that point, if they're needing reviewed, they'll get reviewed in the next 24 hours to a week, depending on how much you. Sometimes we have 500 cards to review a day. Sometimes we have 2,000 cards to review. So, I can only get to a certain amount per day. So it depends. At that point, if we review them, we'll say, hey, we think these are your cards worth grading, the 9s and the 10s, and we think these are 8s or worse. We wouldn't recommend grading these. At that point, the rejects, the ones we think are 8s or worse, we'll send those back to you. You're only going to pay the $1 per review. The other cards are going off to grading. So we'll add those to our next grading order. We'll send the rejects back to you. We'll get your address. Those will get mailed back to you in the next 2 to 3 days. Mm-hmm. And then you'll receive an invoice. Invoice is going to come on the email. So one of the things on the sheet is your email. All right. So once we have your email, which again, we're going to have it from the start, we'll send your cards back to you, and then we'll have a total for you. So we'll say, hey, here's how many cards we reviewed. Let's say it's 10. Sure. $10 per review fees, $1 per card. And then how many cards are going 45 day? How many cards are going 20 day? How many cards are going 5 day? And then if there's a reject shipping, so if I got to ship 3 cards back to you, it's typically $5. So charge you $5 for shipping, and that's an invoice. That total invoice will be emailed to you, and you have 30 days to pay it. You can pay it with a credit card, Apple Pay, anything like that. If you want to pay PayPal, there's instructions on the bottom of the email of how to pay with PayPal, and we can go with that. But it's not super complicated. Basically, you send me the cards. If you want them reviewed, we'll tell you which ones we would send, which ones we wouldn't send. Okay. We'll send them for you. You pay for it. When they come back, we'll send you pictures. We'll send you updates when they're done. And at that point, you can decide however you want them shipped back. Do you want them FedEx overnight? Sorry, I just got a text message that threw me off. When they come back, you can tell me however you want them shipped. If you want them insured, anything like that, we'll get it taken care of. It's because it's completely up to you at that point. So the only expense you're going to have outside of grading with me are for me to ship it back to you and for you to ship it to me to start. Everything else is included. So shipping to and from PSA, insurance to and from PSA, those are covered. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a lot of it's on the website, but it's you send me the cards and we'll take care of the rest.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thanks. You'll be receiving a lot of cards from the 815 pretty soon.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. That was the last question I had. Thank you so much for being with me today and answering a bunch of questions. I'm sure you got better things to do.
No, this is great. I totally don't mind.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll let you know whenever I get this posted, and if you don't mind, you could shout it out.
Yeah, sure. Just if you tag me as a reminder, I'll make sure I get it I'll make sure I get it in my story. And then when you get a link, just send me a link and I'll put it in the story.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks so
Cool.
much.
You're
Have a
welcome.
good day.
Yeah, you too, Liam. See ya.
Bye.